In 1999, the Liberal Treasurer, Peter Costello, abolished the cost-based indexation and replaced it with a 50% discount on capital gains. And this had two major impacts. The first one was on low-yield investments. So on one hand, it actually disadvantaged investors in low-yield asset classes, and the biggest one of them is apartments. Over 2 decades, from 2002 to 2022, the average apartment appreciated in value by around 4.5% per annum. And over that same period, inflation averaged at 2.8% per annum. So that means if you bought an apartment in 2002 and sold it 20 years later, you would be taxed on 50% of the gain, despite inflation accounting for more than 60% of that gain. In other words, if you had an apartment, you'd be paying about 10% of tax on income that you never really earned. Then there's high-yield investments. And on the other hand, the 50% concession created a huge incentive to invest in high-yield assets like houses with land. Over the same period, from 2002 to 2002, house prices appreciated by over 6% per annum, more than double the inflation rate, meaning investors could bank real gains but only pay tax on a portion of those gains. And the result has been so dramatic and in many cases catastrophic in our housing market. In 1993, first home buyers accounted for a larger proportion of housing finance than investors by a margin of 2%. There were more first home buyers than investors in 1993. Deputy Speaker, by 2018, investors were beating first home buyers by over 25%. Between 2018 and 1993, investors started dwarfing first home buyers. In the same period, home ownership among 25 to 34-year-old Australians fell from 61% to just 43%. We went from the majority of young, hard-working Australians seeking to get a mortgage being able to do so to less than half in just a couple of decades. The capital gains taxes in the budget are really simple. As of 1 July 2027, the 50% concession will once again be replaced with the cost-based indexation, but with one exemption. If you are willing to invest in the future of our country by building a new home, you can still choose to access the 50% concession.